Welcome to Injector Confidential, the podcast by injectors for injectors. I'm Kristen Dozy.
And I am Nicole Breskern. Welcome, guys. We said but we would be back next week, and here we are, staying true to
We're
our word.
very proud of ourselves.
So proud of ourselves. I know we are sitting here on a Monday night and we're just making it happen. But I mean, we had to make it happen because we have got a great episode in store. But first, I have to say, as like part of our like intro catch up, I am so I'm so touched, so grateful, and so appreciative of all the positive feedback of us coming back on air.
I know it's been so sweet. And we genuinely, I think every time someone like posts something about the podcast or DMs us about it, like we genuinely are like not surprised, but I
Oh
mean,
my
maybe
God.
gratitude is just the overarching theme there. But we definitely feel so thankful for you guys and very touched that you guys enjoy it as much as we do.
Totally. And we put it out into the universe, and like, you don't know who your audience is. Is anyone listening? You don't know, but like, that's fine. And so when somebody is listening and it resonates with them, oh, it just makes my heart explode because that's the whole reason why we do this.
Totally. And this definitely feels like our little baby. So
Yes.
thanks for liking our baby.
Yes. Thank you for liking our baby. Kristen wants a baby. This is her baby too.
Oh God, no, I'll be the cool aunt. It's your baby.
Oh my God. Hush. Okay, so do we have any updates on the aesthetic mindset?
Yes. Okay. I am officially 99% done with the actual workbook. And so now it's just a matter of making it look pretty. And then we are off to the races. But I've already gotten so much interest, so many emails on my wait list. So that is really encouraging and exciting. I was going through it today and just realizing, like, oh, there's all these years of like just effort and things that I wish I would have known and just things I had to learn the hard way, just put into this workbook. And it's so exciting.
It's such a walk down memory lane in a way. That's how I felt when I was doing mine too. Is it's just like all of the gaps in knowledge that you had. I mean, it's very illuminating, would you say?
Oh my gosh. So it goes through a whole process basically of like, where have you been? Where do you want to be? Like, and just even thinking about where I was when I first started, or even where I was 2 years ago, and now seeing where I'm at now. And then thinking about like, because then the next step is talking about brand awareness and attracting your ideal client and just realizing like, oh my gosh, I mean, this sounds really silly, but there's a lot of times now I live in a really small town. And so when I go out, there are people that are like, oh my gosh, like you just did that event with so and so. There has such a brand awareness now with what I've created, which is really exciting. And so, yeah, it's just really cool to see like, okay, these are the steps to not only grow a successful practice, but also to the mental shifts that have taken place for me over the years. Like things like having an unhappy client, like how do I mentally deal with that? Not just practically, like, okay, here are the steps to handle it, but like, how do I go home and not be absolutely consumed with it for 2 days? Or things like my money mindset, like when I'm in a consult and I'm recommending two, three, four syringes, that used to be so hard for me. And now a combination of just being more skilled in my technique, but also I think the bigger piece of just recognizing where my money limitations have been and my own money stories that I bring into that exam room every time. And so, yeah, it's just so cool to see the progress in my own life. And now to get to offer that in like a comprehensive workbook coaching situation for other injectors is really exciting. But okay, enough about that.
No, I want to just like point out that it's the difference between saying, this is my brand and I am my brand. And you're serving,
Okay.
I am my brand and I am this work. And I think that makes it so much more powerful.
Totally. It's funny, even like when I was like thinking about, I was shopping for like a branding shoot coming up and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what colors do I enjoy wearing? And I'm like, okay, well, the colors that I wear on a day to day basis, which for me, it's like very neutral. Like
Yeah.
that's become my brand colors, even just because, even out of a convenience factor of when I show up on camera, I'm always on brand because, like you said, I am my brand now, as opposed to it being this like this thing outside of me. I mean, this is getting us on into a tangent, but I think that that translates to patients. Like that cohesivity of you being your brand in this industry is huge.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Totally, totally. Okay, but tell me because and before an injector can take my course, they need to take yours. Tell me where things are going with that.
I am, as I told you guys in the bonus episode, I am taking a decent chunk of March off. And this month is totally booked with, first of all, seeing clients and getting everyone in before I'm gone, and also having my current mentees shadow me, which I have to say now, this is my first round of doing the actual workbook, and then having somebody come shadow me second after the workbook. And oh my God, what a difference. It just puts everyone on the same playing field of knowledge. People are seeing do the things I'm saying in action, and I really do feel like it's a more meaningful way of learning, and so I'm really excited and hopeful for everyone that's on the wait list because that has surprisingly popped off. Once again, we never expect this to happen, so when it does, it's like a fun surprise. But if you have reached out to me, I will get back to you very soon, and you can expect that you'll probably get started in April.
Yeah, I'm so excited, like, going through Nicole's workbook. I don't I don't think I had the workbook the last episode
No,
we recorded, did
I
I?
gave
Because you
no,
kept
the last time that Kristen and I hang out, I
okay.
surprised her with the actual physical workbook as, like, I wouldn't even call it a gift, I just wanted her to have it.
Oh, it was like no, it was a gift. It's literally sitting right next to me, right
Stop
here,
it, it
'cause
is!
because I literally have gone through it, like, 3 times, the knowledge in it is I know that it's kind of, like, advertised as maybe a little bit more, like, intro to injecting, but honestly, I'm reading through this and I'm like, "Oh, that's how that works." Good to know, good
I'm
to
so happy to
know.
hear that.
'Cause it's just I don't know, the way that it is written in a way that, like, my brain is like, "Yes, this feels good, I get it." I love how you, like, throw in, like, the history of products, like, there's just so much rich knowledge that I feel like every injector really should know, but you're just not given a one-stop shop place to hear it, you know?
No, definitely not, and I honestly, the Kristen Dozy stamp of approval means everything
Hell
to me,
yeah.
so this is, and honestly, I just when we were, like, pulling up our shared Google Doc, I saw a little glimpse of a page of Kristen's book, and oh my god, it's so sexy. But that's, like, what everything Kristen does is, like, sexy, sultry,
Oh, yeah,
edgy.
yes. So sexy. I literally am sitting here in this, like, red sweatshirt that I told Nicole makes me look like a meatball. So I don't know how sexy I look right now, but I
Neither of
got
us
meatball vibes.
neither of us look sexy, but guess what else you don't have to look sexy for?
A fucking
Networking.
podcast. Oh, yeah, networking.
Networking and a podcast. But yes, today we are talking about networking. And this is very relevant to us because, in a lot of respects, I think that it's gotten Kristen and I both to where we are because we have been able to put ourselves out there and really maximize events where networking was possible and gotten to meet some influential people and basically gain some confidence. So that's what today is all about. We're sharing some pearls about how to maximize networking in conventional settings and non-conventional settings and our little tips and tricks. And I trust me, you guys don't know any of these. So if you think that we're about to say, like, have a firm handshake, wear something appropriate, look people in the eyes. No, you already know that. This is shit you don't know.
There's different layers to networking. There's layers, the layer of, hey, I'm trying to grow my practice and how can I network within my community to grow my patient base? That is not what this episode is going to be about because we've touched on that in other episodes. Plus, we'll do probably one that's more just solely focused on that. This is more about identifying your goal as an injector, showing up to spaces, either events or brand dinners, or just within your community to meet other injectors or other people within the field that's going to help you get closer to your goals and how important that really is in this career.
The first thing that I thought of when we were talking about this episode is that it makes sense chronologically because we are starting conference season. Conferences go through the summer, and logically, so many people go to a conference or make it a goal to go to a conference, but once they get there, they kind of possum and don't really know what to do. And I think they shy away from any opportunities because they just are overwhelmed. I've been there, done that. I understand it. But there's so many opportunities as well that are hidden gems for networking that we're also going to give you our own little personal experiences with that have given me career long clients and helped me meet some people that have been really fundamental in me growing my business and growing my brand.
Absolutely. One thing I want to throw in there that's actually not like part of our outline is that I think truly the first step of networking in a way that is beneficial to you in your career is that before you go to the event, before you go to the dinner, you need to step out of that imposter syndrome. Go listen to our other episodes on imposter syndrome. Know that you belong there just as much as that injector with 50,000 followers or the one that you've looked up to your whole career. You are in that space because you deserve to be there and you can take up that space. And it is just as much an honor for them to meet you as it is for you to meet them. And like that is the confidence that you need to go into these events with.
I am obsessed with that. I mean, it's the truth. That's one of my favorite things about brand events, conferences, like everybody is on the same playing field. Not one person is better than the other. Everybody pays the same admission fee. I just think it's such an equalizer, but you have to bring that confidence in order to that's step 1 is bring the confidence, serve the confidence. And I love that mantra about I deserve to take up this space as much as somebody who is highly influential in the field. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Totally.
So
Totally. So the second thing that's important is to identify what your goals are, specifically in your career as an injector. And alongside that, if your goal is really to grow a sense of community and growth in your career as an aesthetic provider, you have to get past this idea of competition. That's easier said than done in general, but I do think at a conference when you're not sharing clients with a lot of these people that you're meeting, they have established practices. It's easier to feel that sense of like, oh, this is community and this is great. When you're bringing that to your hometown and you're dealing with other injectors who might be considered a quote unquote source of competition, that can be a little bit harder. So I would recommend, starting to work on that mindset as well as you like think through your goals of in your career.
totally. And one of my favorite things to remind myself and my mentees is that until every single person in the world is getting Botox, there is plenty of room to go around. And we've said this before in past episodes, but the patient that comes and sees me is not the same patient that goes and sees you, that sees Kristen. Like we all bring something slightly different to the table. You have to just let that mindset slide to the side that this person might be taking my knowledge or be competing with me for clients. No, like in these settings, if your goal is community, then you really need to more than think that way, you need to embody that as well. So, on top of saying what are your career goals, I think that it's also great to go big picture. Chris and I were talking about this about when you go into an event, a brand dinner, a meeting, whatever, if you start to get overwhelmed, think about what are your career goals. And I like to think about these in advance and think about what I'm trying to get out of that event, that conference, whatever I'm going to, what am I trying to get out of it? And so a few examples would be like, are you trying to become a trainer for a brand? Well, a conference or a brand dinner is a great place to do that because you can talk to the area director or you can talk to the KOL at a conference. Just try to rub elbows with whoever is influential and make your mark. Trust me, you can DM people and email them all day long, but face value is so much better. And them remembering what you sound like and your name and what you look like, it just really goes a long way. The other one is if you're trying to get a new job, and a conference is a great place to talk to other people that work in other practices, maybe some larger practices, and see what their experience has been because it's a really no pressure zone.
The other thing would be if you have something outside of your main job as an injector, you have a podcast or you have a mentorship or you have all these things that Nicole and I can relate with. But in all seriousness, maybe you've developed an app, maybe you have a scheduling system, maybe there's just something that you are trying to kind of get known for within the aesthetic community. these are great opportunities. Conferences are amazing. Event dinners are great to just get that brand awareness out, make connections with people. You genuinely never know where connections are going to lead to. So take it very seriously and show up as though that person is looking forward to seeing you as much as you're seeing them. And you'll be amazed at the type of connections.
And on the technical side, because that's what I do best, if you want to try to learn to do something high risk or off label, a conference is the place to learn to do that. A lot of the times there are master classes or special seminars that you can pay extra money for. And it's very much like small group. You get to learn definitively how to do something. You're not going to so much get that at a brand dinner. So just keep that in mind. But like we said before, there's a lot of power and opportunity in learning to do something properly. And so a brand dinner or an event for a specific manufacturer, that's a great place to learn some new pearls, learn about new indications for FDA, basically just bolster up your toolbox.
Totally. So, one thing shifting from the goal aspect of it, I would say that when you're thinking about your time, let's just say at a conference, for example, the best way to utilize your time, because for any of us that have been to one before, you know how overwhelming it can be with the vendor booths and all the different sessions and keynote speakers. And there's so much that's going on at all times. It can be very overwhelming. And if you're alone, which we highly recommend you go alone.
Mhm.
But that'll be a point for another time. We recommend post on your social media that you're going, saying like, "Hey, I'll be at the aesthetic show, this date to this date. Like, is anybody going?" And do a poll or something on your Insta story, and all those people that have said yes, make sure you reach out to them individually and either find a specific time when a group of you can meet up, or if it's people in your area, find a time when like you can connect before or after, just as a way to like have some intentional time set up. And it kind of will ease your nerves going into it a little bit. Also, it for me, maybe it's a 2 on the Enneagram situation here, but I get really, really flustered if I think that I have already met someone or I should know them, like from social media, but I don't recognize them, or, it's just overwhelming in that kind of a setting. And now there's so many freaking filters. It's hard to
Mhm.
totally know who someone is, because I've definitely been in this situation before where I'll introduce myself to someone and then it turns out like, oh, we've actually corresponded on social media quite a bit. So just having that intentional connection before the events helps to make the most out of the time that you have, whether it's a dinner or a conference. It for sure helps relieve some of my anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. We're all so busy with our lives that these kinds of events where there will be several different practices and several different injectors, it's honestly such a fun time to basically get to see your friends. But that's like one of my favorite things is that I get to see my friends from other practices, friends from different states that are also injectors. And you might meet your internet friends in real life, but they might catfish you, is what Kristen is saying.
Yes. Yes. Be afraid, guys,
Be
because in this
afraid.
industry, you're gonna get freaking catfished, man.
Dude, it's amazing how different people look in real life sometimes.
Oh my gosh. It is funny when I went to the aesthetic show, I'd be sitting at the bar kind of like outside of where everybody would have to come out of all the different sessions. And I'm like, it is very obvious that this is an aesthetic conference. I kind of hope that in the next few years, like that changes, that it's not so obvious that like our group of professionals looks so like we looked a little overdone, but that's okay. That's okay. And yeah, I got catfished a couple times. So the next thing is okay. So you've psyched yourself up, you show up to the event, you've gotten over your imposter syndrome, you've established your goals. Now you're face to face with someone that you really want to meet. They're influential and this is it. So now what? Actions are important. How you show up is very important. We all know first impressions are everything. And I do think that there is something to that. What I have been reading in preparation for my mentorship program is that basically you should have two pitches. You should have like a quote unquote elevator pitch, which is less than 30 seconds. And that can be a little bit more like if you're really showing up like with, hey, I want a job, or hey, I really want this thing from this person. There's an end goal. Basically, have a less than 30-second pitch of like who you are, what you do, and what is the exact connection that you're trying to make and why. For example, when I was at the aesthetic show, I got the opportunity to talk to Gideon Clock and Lori Robertson. And like, I was a fumbling mess because I really didn't have any intention behind just saying, like, oh my gosh, you guys are great. If I would
What
have
are
been
they
like,
like in real life?
so lovely,
Oh,
so,
really? I always
well,
hope that
just so
people like that
lovely.
are. I mean,
Totally. Lori is just absolutely lovely, so humble and
mhm.
like put up with me totally fangirling all over her. But I feel like that time would have been more memorable if I would have been like, hey, this is who I am, this is where I inject, and then here's two other things that about me that would be somewhat memorable to her. And then have something to come back to in a follow up and be like, oh, it was so great to meet you. I'm the injector that has the podcast. Just wanted to say thank you again for your time. Being intentional with those introductions is huge.
This may be the only, like, straightforward, simple tip that we offer, but a lot of the times it gets forgotten, so that's why we must mention it. Have your business cards ready to go. If you don't have business cards, please make them and bring them with you. I have made this mistake before I went to open houses, events where people said, "Yeah, can I be your business card?" I didn't have them printed. It makes you look like a noob. Don't do it. So sometimes you're not in the setting to like give somebody your card or it doesn't feel right. What you can do, especially if you are introducing yourself to somebody within the aesthetic community, you can make QR codes that go straight to your Instagram. And Kristen gave a great tip about at a conference or a brand dinner or something, set that QR code as the background to your phone. So then it's just right there. The person can scan it. And I like it because it's actionable. And then the person can't say no. You're going to say, "Oh, I actually have my Instagram right here. You can
Mhm,
just scan it."
mhm.
Nobody's going to say no.
Totally. Once you do that, they go on and follow you. I go on and follow right back. So then I can keep track of like, okay, who do I want to follow up with afterwards?
Oh, that's a great point, great point. Yeah, like answering a DM, which is the devil, right away, because then it just keeps tabs of who you actually talk to and who you actually know, and not just somebody that's like a bot or someone random.
Totally.
Also, I think, people love nothing more than to talk about themselves. So if you can make somebody else feel valued, I think that that goes a really long way. And a small tip outside of the obvious conferences, brand dinners, and those kinds of immediate aesthetic events is that I like to think that I am networking all the time. And any event that I go to, whether it is for my business or not, I am representing my brand. And one of my favorite examples of this is that before I was associated with the, bar studio that I now work within, I went to one of their events and basically just started talking to the girls that were around me at the workout class, and literally, I talked to, like, 4 girls, 3 of them that was last year, 3 of them are, like, my most regular clients now because they were all looking for an injector. So just please know that there's always an opportunity to talk yourself up. Of course, if you're like, "I don't really wanna do that today, I just wanna enjoy my time," that's also fine, but there opportunity is everywhere, and it's not just at conferences and brand dinners.
I think about that all the time when I'm yelling at my kids in public because I'm like, oh shit, like that's like my brand. Just kidding.
You're
I
like,
dealt with them in private. Oh my.
I'm out here in my meatball coat yelling at my kid.
100%. I know. Or like even when I like look like a freaking naked mole rat, I'm like, oh, I like don't like to
Honestly
tell anybody what I do.
honestly, I think the
'Cause it's
relatability is 10 out of 10 there.
I really hope so. That would be great for my brand. Relatable.
I know,
See
seriously.
Kristen. Come see Kristen. She's relatable.
Another thing that we were talking about too is that social events are a great way to meet potential clients, but also set up a boundary because you were trying to enjoy your time. So if it's an event with your ideal client, with your age group, whatever, my example of that would be a wedding, is that when you introduce yourself to somebody and they say, "What do you do for work?" And you tell them, people are automatically intrigued, especially if they're women in their late 20s and 30s. But Kristen gave the fantastic tip that if you have your business card, it is an unspoken boundary that I would love to see you in my office for a consultation, but I probably won't be talking about this now for free.
100%. It is a physical boundary that you are setting up to protect your energy. And yeah, because I get that all the time.
Yeah, me too, and I don't really wanna be consulting 2 glasses of wine in.
No, I mean, that might be when I do my best work, but they don't need to know that.
They don't need to know that that's when you do your absolute best craft.
That's right. That is right. I do think that we will be doing an episode on utilizing networking within your community to build up your patient because Nicole and I both, I think that is a huge reason why our practices have both been very successful. And according to several of my reps, I network more than any of their other providers. And partly just because I really enjoy it and I like making connections, but I also recognize the benefit in it also. But all that to say, if you're not into networking, if you're not into meeting people and all that, that's okay. But my encouragement is whether it is for career goals at a conference or an industry dinner, or if it is more related to socializing with your ideal client, put yourself out there. I know for for people that are introverts and just maybe that schmoozing networking vibe isn't the right thing for you. Just my encouragement is to put yourself out there a little bit and make a goal for yourself. Like you're going to talk to 2 people at the next conference that you go to. You're going to make connections with 5 different people and you're going to follow up with them. Make small goals for yourself that are attainable, that make you feel like okay, I made progress in this area and you're going to be amazed. I mean, truly, I know this is woo woo, but I do think that there is something to be said for putting out to the universe that you are showing up in a space, that you are making connections. There's an abundance mindset there because there is collaboration over competition. And I don't know. I think it's just putting it out to the universe that you're ready for more, that you've got the wheels turning, and you pull whatever verbiage you want on that to fit your own values and beliefs. But I do think that there's a lot of truth in that. And I'm excited to hear how these tips benefit everybody's individual practice for sure.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And when all else fails, have what I like to lovingly call shamectomy, which is where you realize that the worst thing that somebody can say to you is no. And the worst thing they can do is turn you down or walk away. And when that happens enough, which, like, I don't know, it's just as natural, then it's not really as big of a deal and the stakes aren't so high. So between those two
And if you
tips,
need to practice that, go on online dating and you'll get a shame real friggin'
Jesus Christ, Kristen.
fast.
Oh my God, the 2 people that will always network with
It's the
you
meatball jacket. It's bringing out an alter
I'll
ego.
check it. The 2 people that will always network with you, always strike up a conversation, and always follow you back are me and Kristen, and we're probably not gonna show up to any conference together this year because that's how life works. So, if you would like, honestly, I would love to talk to any of you, and I'll probably be coming up to you in person, so please prepare.
So basically, we're doing this episode to ask you guys to like please be our friend if you see us in real life. Say hi to us because we're not going to have any friends.
Oh, man. Oh my gosh. Well, we hope these tips were helpful for you guys. We always say that at the end of episodes, but sincerely, I hope that you learned something that you didn't know about putting yourself out there. And I loved the mindset portion that sneaked in. I never hate when there's woo woo. I love the Kristen Dozy version of woo woo. I love it so much.
Well, perfect because I'm going to go charge my crystals right now. So
Oh my God, stop. Is it a full moon?
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Do you have crystals?
Hell yeah, bitch.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't have any. I mean, Mercury in retrograde did a number on me at one point, and I almost bought a lot of crystals,
And they're
but I didn't.
expensive.
They are expensive.
A down payment on a house right there.
Jesus, I know, especially here in Southern California.
We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye, guys.